limitations. At present, it says that the authority may impose. However, this will again be revised to read shall impose. The limitations may be limited to a specific category rating, to visual meteorological condition and visual line of sight operations, or such other limitations as the authority may deem reasonable. For the RPA controller certificate, the contents, several information has been added, the date of birth, the nationality, and instead of conditions and limitations, we revised it to read endorsement and limitations. For the validity of RPA controller certificate, the changes were minor typographical corrections, and it's basically the same. The period is still 5 years until it shall remain valid until the authority amends, suspends, revokes, or otherwise terminates. For the show cause order to RPA controller certificate holder, this was also just rephrased. And one of the changes would be the notice was reworded into order. So before it's show cause notice, now it's show cause order. Also, a change here is that we defined the risk to mean that it is referred to mean any obstruction determined to have substantial adverse effect on the safe and efficient utilization of the navigable airspace. Also, we provided a period for the preventive suspension. So the period is for 30 to 90 days. F was deleted since it has been already incorporated in the preceding paragraph. For the cancellation of RPA controller certificate, this subpart was only rephrased. For validation of foreign RPA controller certificate or equivalent, the word authorization was forwarded to equivalent. So here the process is identical. It was only rephrased for clarity. Again, this was only rephrased, so there's no change. The validation certificate will still be valid for 1 year, provided that it is current and valid. For the RPA category ratings, this is a new provision wherein we identify the following categories: airplane, rotorcraft, powered lift, and airship. Also a new provision, so RPA visual observer. Only an RPA controller certificate holder may perform as visual observer for any commercial operations. Just please take note that we will revise this further to include operations conducted by government agencies. Also, in new provision, proficiency check. So the holder must complete the refresher training and assessment for each category rating specified in the RPA controller certificate within 30 months prior to the expiration date of the certificate. The refresher training can be conducted by an RPAS authorized instructor or an ROC holder by whom the holder of the RPA controller certificate is employed. So the documents must be provided to the authority evidencing the completion of the refresher training and assessment.
Okay na?
The RPA controller certificate holder shall undergo proficiency check administered by the authority within 30 months prior to the expiration date of the certificate. And failure to complete either refresher training and assessment or proficiency check for a particular category rating will result in the suspension of privileges granted to the RPA controller certificate holder. The, the applicant for an RPA instructor or instructor endorsement or authorization shall hold an RPA controller certificate with a category rating corresponding to the intended category rating to be taught, pass the required test on principles of teaching, and pass the skill test for instructors. So please note that the skill test shall be for the same category and type of RPA for which instructor privileges are sought.
Ma'am, may I go back to
Um,
the
for the
proficiency training
participants, yes sir, for the participants, may we request that all questions be raised after this part?
after?
Thank you. And also again, please note that the RPA instructor should be read as RPAS instructor. This is just a typographical error. Requirements for renewal of an RPA controller certificate, also a new provision. So for those desiring to renew his or her license, he or she must pass the skill test conducted by an authorized examiner of the authority. And it must the renewal must be done accomplished within 60 days prior to the expiry of the certificate. Here are the requirements. So the application form, proficiency check test report, the RPA controller certificate, RPA specification, actual photos of the RPA with serial number, and the certificate of employment or a refresher RPA certificate issued by an RPA manufacturer or authorized instructor, indicating that the applicant has undertaken a training or has operated the drone within 90 days prior to renewal. Also, a new provision is the reinstatement of privileges of an expired, suspended, or revoked RPA controller certificate. So for this one, the holder of an expired, suspended, or revoked RPA certificate must submit the same documentary requirements provided in section 213.15 paragraph B, subject to the conditions stated in 2.2.11 of this part. So 213.15 provides for the requirement for renewal of an RPA controller certificate, and 2.2.11 is the reissue or reinstatement of a license, rating authorization, or certificate. Also, the holder must pass a skill test conducted by the authorized examiner of the authority. So for the IS, the following are the scope of the RPA skill test. So first is the pre-flight preparation as shown, and then the pre-flight procedures. Flight maneuvers via manual control. The emergency procedure. Post-flight procedures. So that would be all for this part, for part 2. For if you have any questions, kindly raise your hand first so we can acknowledge you properly. Thank you. Ang hand niya. Ayun. Ilagay sa lang hand. Ayun na. Yes. Reported and verified yung akin. Let us break them and speak. Speak.
Mr. Chader Redis, you are now acknowledged. You may ask your question to the.
Thank you very much po. Yeah, this is Jader Rehis, a commercial drone operator from Davao City, Davao UAS. So my first question is regarding Appendix A 2.13.3. So in 2.13.3 Appendix A, we are talking about exams based off of
Wala pa.
information.
Pag magtanong okay lang ko
I would
yun.
like to ask if there is such a standard of this information for CAAP, which will be the basis for these written exams, and if these standards and information are publicly accessible. There might be different terms between manufacturers and different regions, and if we do written exams, I believe that we should all be reading from the same information to keep the consistency of these exams. So my question is there such a resource of information which will be the basis of the written exams? And is this information publicly and easily accessible? Thank you. That's my first question.
The basis of the exam is ICAO Annex 1 and the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, sir. So we are going to get our questionnaires from there, sir.
Yes, my question would be, is this information publicly accessible? And if it is the sole basis of the exams?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, can we have a link on the chat on where the information will come from?
Because, sir, once we have finished the exam, sir, we are going to paste where we're going to have a review for that, sir, the content, so that the public can access and review the knowledge test for that, sir.
Okay,
As of
so
now, sir, we're still consolidating the questionnaires for the exam board. And we're studying if what questions are necessary. Because, sir, basically, basic lang naman ang ilalagay namin sa mga exams na yan. Hindi naman siya too technical na pang-pilot, just the basics. For our
yes,
parts.
but still the terms and definition have to be unified.
Yes,
So okay, if I'm understanding this right, the exams are not yet finished. It's still being produced, and
Yes,
we
sir.
are assured that before the exams are implemented, we will have a chance to study the material from which the exam was based on. Ano po?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay then, as long as that is the case, then I'm okay with that. May I ask a second question, or do you go through the line first?
Sure, sure, sir.
Meron po kasing queue, so I'll just like to ask if I can ask a second question or pipila ulit po ako to give others a chance naman po.
Mr. Jader, this is Attorney Irish. Sir, you may ask your second question, sir.
Attorney, thank you very much for. Okay, this is my second and last question. This is with regards to 2.13.3 still, Appendix B skill test. I've been a commercial drone operator even way back since 2012. I've been doing drones. We started regulating sometime 2014, 2015. And I saw on the skill test that there are such things as vertical loop, inverted flight, for fixed wing and such, no? From my experience of quite many years of commercial operation, and I also fly ultralight planes, I think that the vertical loop and inverted flight might be applicable only to those who do entertainment and shows, no? In my commercial operations, these are not allowed. And in fact, most of our equipment for commercial operations have flight control systems that limit the airframe. So I would like to understand why we would put these things. I don't mind stall recovery and such, no, because that might happen. But in a fully automated system, uh, the autopilot will handle such differences and stabilization. And in a case where there is a mechanical failure, the chances of the pilot saving the situation with manual flight is most likely not going to work as well. So the skill test where inverted flight and loops are done, I believe may only be applicable to some situations. But in most situations, no, the aircraft and the payload are not designed to do acrobatics. Thank you. That's just a comment on that one.
Thank you, Sir Jader. We will take note of that comment, sir. We appreciate our stakeholders in taking part of this public hearing so that we will be able not just to show that the stakeholders that we are willing to uh, improve our regulations on drones, not only to prohibit our stakeholders, but also to help in promoting safety. And thank you for that, sir. We highly encourage other stakeholders to also give out their comments on the regulations that they deem proper. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Attorney. Siguro before I move to the next person, I'll just like to recommend that maybe because of the automated flight systems, we can require minimum fail-safe options in commercial drone operations. So these minimal fail-safe options should address some of the problems that might arise. So yun lang po muna to give others a chance. Thank you very much po sa lahat.
Thank you for your input, sir. For our next question, may we have JEP Elvis? Sir, ma'am, for a properly order of our public hearing, may we request those who will ask questions or who will give out their comments uh, to introduce first themselves and the company that they represent before you ask your questions for records purposes. Thank you so much. GEP Elvis Domilod. Sir, you may ask your
Thank
question.
you, Irish, for yes. Good morning, Irish and everyone. This is Elvis Domilod from the Geodetic Engineers of the Philippines. I just want to ask a question regarding the RPA visual observer. Is it really required for a visual observer even for small RPAs? like the Phantom 4 or the Mavic Pro, even for small RPAs? Do you really need to have a visual observer?
Thank you for that question, sir. Our technical working group member, Mr. John Guevara, will answer the question.
Yes, sir. Good morning. This is John. Sir, it is required po. Basta commercial operations po.
Sir Elvis, were you able to get that, sir?
Yes, thank you, and I just hope that I just hope that there could be a leeway for small aircraft. Because I think sometimes parang napaka-higpit pa, maliit lang naman na aircraft, maliit lang na area ang ang paggagamitan. Kung pwede lang sana na mabigyan ng limit kung anong mga rine-require talaga. Consideration lang po.
We will take that into consideration, sir. Also, we require this observer, sir, because the main RPA controller is focused on the first-person point of view, sir. Also, the visual observer, sir, can monitor any possible incoming risks. For our stakeholders, if you think that these are very stringent or very strict regulations, sir, we would just like to maintain safety in our operations, sir. Considering that these operations are, we are really not in full control of our drones or our remotely piloted aircraft or unmanned aircraft, sir. So in order to maintain safety, sir, we need that visual observer, sir. And if you deem necessary that this be removed, sir, we will take that into consideration and we will study further on that. Thank you. Also, sir,
Okay.
you would like
May I continue for a few minutes?
May I beg your pardon, sir? Can you repeat that? Sir Elvis, if you have any oppositions on the provisions that we have in our amendment, sir, may we suggest that you file this opposition, sir? You may send it through our email at rsdb@caap.gov.ph. Thank you.
May I speak?
Sir Erwin, before
Yeah.
I get to you, sir, I'll just ask Mr. Elvis if he has other questions, sir. Para po matapos na din po. Yes, Sir Elvis, do you have any other questions, sir?
Not really a question, but like explanation on why I suggested that. Because as one of the first who gave the question, there are many times that when we use the RPAs for commercial, parang nagiging autopilot na siya. So very minimal na yung the manual control of the aircraft is very minimal. So is it possible that the same controller is also the observer? Okay. Thank you. That's all for this topic for me.
Sir, to answer your question, sir, I'll just repeat that. Will it be possible if the visual observer will also be the main controller? Is that it, sir? Mr. Elvis? Okay. Sir, if that would be your question, sir.
Yes, because the in our main instances,
Um, yeah. If that is your question, sir, if the main controller will be also the visual observer, sir, that is not the intent of this provision, sir, because there would be a greater risk in the operation because of multitasking. We cannot control the outside environment. If you are going to control your drone, sir, or your UAV, the as we will repeat again that the visual observers should focus on the outside environment, sir, while the main controller shall focus on the FPV view. So those are different points of view, sir, and we encourage those visual observers, sir, in order to maintain safety. We would always promote the safety culture in the aviation industry because siguro wala pa pong nangyayari ngayon, but let us just not wait for any accident or incident to happen before we give that risk. So that is it, sir. However, the RPA operation, the visual observer, sir, need not be an RPA certificate holder, but they should at least share the same competency. For the next, I will move on, sir, to the next question. Sir Erwin, you were saying earlier, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, regarding the same topic, I think it's advisable to do have an observer or a spotter because although that may hold true that most of the time it's pretty much automated, but if you are filming, you are basically focused on your framing and on the subject. So I would advise, okay lang yon na we have an external we have a spotter, but not necessarily also an RPAS certificate holder. I think it's okay that he just be trained properly, or at least he should have a proper briefing and enough knowledge as briefed by the RPAS certificate holder. I think okay na yon as long as he's trained, but not necessarily RPAS holder.
Sir Erwin, Sir Erwin, regarding
Yes,
your
you get yeah.
yes, yes, Sir Erwin, Attorney Din, sir. Regarding your comment, sir, on the RPAS visual observer, the RPAS visual observer should also have an controller certificate before he could act as an RPAS visual observer because, sir, the responsibility of the RPAS visual observer in performing his responsibilities, they should also know how to the drone works kasi mahirap naman din po na may makukuha lang kayo na tao na titingin mag-act as spotter pero he would not be able to detect if there's a problem or if there's anything wrong with how the drone is flying, diba? Kaya po may ganung requirement kami to have the RPAS visual observer also secure an RPAS controller certificate.
Yeah, that's correct, ma'am. As I have stated, they should be trained as well, and most of the time, our spotters or observers are also operators or at least hobbyists, which they are pretty much aware on what to look for and are knowledgeable on the dangers, but not necessarily an RPAS certificate holder. Because again, the requirements for such medyo mataas na, if, for example, for one company to send two RPAS controllers all at the same time, sometimes they would have multiple projects and all. But what I think is, I think it's good enough if they are properly trained. If we can have a way to have another training for them, but not necessarily to have an RPAS certificate holder.
Okay, sir.
If that's possible, if that's
We will
possible.
take your comment into consideration. Anyway, sir, later we will be discussing more about the operation. So maybe this would again be further explained. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
For the for the next participant who raised his hand, Mark Morales.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes.
Yes, this is still concerning the visual observer. A lot of us have been studying the FAA rules, the Part 107, and I'm sure that's also a basis for the other civil aviation authorities abroad to follow. We There's nothing in the Part 107 of the FAA that actually states that the visual observer has to be another Part 107 holder, and we were wondering where you got um, uh, from what agency you probably got this from, that we need another licensed holder, because I'm actually from a mapping company called QData, and yes, the person a while ago said like it might be too much to send out like 4 people for a 2-person job, and I mean, given the time, the place, how big the place is, it really depends on what we can do. And just adding another person into that list, into that operation, is very daunting for us. We're just gonna have to double our manpower, if that's what you're saying.
Sir, our technical working group from the licensing department, Mr. Christian Cala, will address your question.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, our basis for the ICAO visual observer is the ICAO doc manual of 10019, sir. That's where we got the provision for the visual observer, sir.
10019. 10019. All right. I'll check that, and I'll probably get talk to someone from your group after this. My second question would be, it's about the exams. There are with the multi-rotors and the GPS drones. Yes, I've just taken the exam, and gladly I passed. And there's another, basically there's another way of flying drones. It's called FPV. It's gaining in popularity. There's even TV shows about it. It's on ESPN, and it's gaining a lot of traction. A lot of the maneuvers that are used there are don't really apply to FPV quadcopters. It's being used right now for film, for cinema. There's a lot of versatility if you can put a camera on a drone and have 100% control of the manual aspects of that drone. I was wondering what CAAP was going to be doing to address this certain, well, you could call it a new category, I guess, of quadcopters. Oh, besides that, we use goggles, so the line of sight is definitely not there, 100%. I think it has to be addressed. I think it's a new technology that CAAP might not be so aware about, and it's really gaining in traction in the film industry. And I hope our concerns could get addressed.
Good morning, sir. Christian again, sir. Sir, currently
Hi.
we're
Hi,
still
Christian.
studying on the FPV, on the regulations regarding the FPV and the beyond visual line of sight, sir. So siguro sa mga susunod na amendments po namin siya may ilalagay po. Pero as of now, sir, we are still focused po, sir, sa visual line of sight po. with regards to beyond, sir, we're still looking for some references and conducting study pa, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I think I'm okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mark.
Thank you.
For our next question, we have Mr. Xander.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Sander Servando from Arc Imagine Multimedia, also a member of Pasig Multi-Rotor Club. So we've been in the drone industry for quite some time now, actually early 2014. Okay, actually it's based, yung question ko is based pa rin dun sa mga former questions nila regarding safety, regarding the observer, and of course the commercial flying. Okay, so for the safety, since we are talking about safety, you were requesting us na magkaroon ng observer. Well, we are doing that, especially sa mga film, corporate projects and all, kasi most of the companies also require that. But yun nga, not necessarily they are RPAS certificate holder also. Now, if we are going to do that, I think the best thing, okay din yun. Pero I think the best is, ang nangyayari kasi is, meron tayong binabayarang fees. So, ayaw nilang kumuha ng, what you call that, ng certificate because of this high fees. Basically, in some countries, these are all free. You just need to pass the exam and all. Especially in UK and other countries, you just need to do that and then you're okay. As long as you pass that. So, okay din yon. I think we need to look into that particular part ng pagkukuha ng ARPA certificate. So, kasi at the end of the day, if we have easier requirements to get this certificate, lahat mariregulate, even these hobbyists, other commercial operators, especially sa wedding, yung mga maliliit na they are all part of the direct and indirect commercial user. Media men, they are part, I think, part siya indirect kasi nagtatrabaho sila and then at the same time, yung company nila pinagsasahuran sila. So basically, it's commercial. Kumikita ka. Pero why are we limiting that to the private companies? To particular organization na kailangan kumuha ka nitong certificate, nitong controller, operator certificate, and all. So I think yun lang, we need to address that all. If we can provide all the users na magkakaroon ng pilot ID or itong ARPA certificate na to na much more easier, mas madali nating mariregulate yung ating UAV, yung ating industry. Kasi, okay, we're getting stricter on this ARPA certificate, but how about those people na dinededma lang tayo? So, but they're still gaining monetary for that. Kasi hindi naman kami mahuhuli. Wala namang rules for that. So, yun yung tanong ko din. What will CAAP do for this particular flyers na they don't di nila pinapansin tong ating advocacy or etong safety na to. So, kasi for us, especially most of these participants here are my colleagues. We've been working together. We're doing all the safety and all based from the PCAR Part 11.11. Also, we are doing this based from other civil aviation rules and regulation outside the country kasi we're also flying there. Ayun, so what about those others? Paano natin sila makokontrol? Kasi mostly, if you've been saying earlier kanina na meron tayong mga incidents, pero ano ba tong incidents na to? Sino ba to? Are these all ARPA certificate controller people, or these are hobbyists, or are these saying that they are hobbyists but they are gaining money from them? So yun. So I think yun yung actually interconnected yung mga questions na yan when it comes to safety, when it comes to commercial flying, when it comes to the observers, when it comes to the pilot itself. Given, so we have the rules. Ano po ba yung, does CAAP has a rule kung paano ba yung as RPAS observer? Do we have a list of what is the pre-flight checklist, the during flight checklist, and the post-flight checklist na under ng CAAP na we need to follow? Or we are just following what we know based from our experience or based from the manufacturer's safety flight checklist? So ayun, so it's more on a general, pero it will help again the community, the drone flyers, especially the also the manned aircraft natin kasi it affects. So yes, ayun, sana this is good, pero madami pa siyang on the details. Very
Yes,
broad. Yes
Mr.
po.
Xander. Yes, I'm sorry to cut you
Yeah, sure,
short,
sure.
sir, but I think in order to give chance to our other participants here and to be able to answer your question, I need to cut you. I beg
Yeah,
your pardon.
all right. Yeah. Thank you,
yeah,
thank you.
Sir, thank you for that question. Sir, first for your said quote unquote incident, sir. We have 14 incidents reported in our flying operations department, mostly on committed by hobbyists, sir. Also, I am speaking as the officer in charge of the regulatory standards department, sir. We have verified reports from our stakeholders, sir. Mostly, this are unidentified, but there are sightings of drones in near airports. There was one stakeholder. This is an airline that reported an incident upon approach, sir. And we do not deal with this lightly because this will cost the life of a lot of people. This will cost the life of our aviation stakeholders on man aviation. Also, this will also affect the economy of the country. So it is better for us to mitigate this risk and impose safety precautions, sir. So if people are asking why are CAAP so strict, kung pera-pera lang po ba ito, we also read that comments online, sir. No, because we would like to safeguard the lives of the people, also the economy of the country before everything, before any accident or incident would happen, sir. As so if you have any objections or oppositions in our regulations, sir, we highly encourage you to email those objections and oppositions so that we could address them and we could see any possibility of any amendments or anything. As for your other question, this will be discussed later, sir, for the visual observers. I think this will be discussed to us by our capable technical working groups, members of our technical working groups. Sir Sander, if I missed or the technical working group members will may somehow missed any of your questions or your concerns, sir, please don't hesitate to put it in the chat box or to email us, sir, so that everybody can see it and we would be able to address that. Thank you so much. Also, as well as to our other participants. Thank you po.
Yes po. Thank you, Miss Irish. Yes, I think one last this is just a suggestion, this is not a question. I think a good suggestion if we look into the UK CAA, magandang business model siya for us. So it's much more easier. Actually, Attorney Dine, maganda ring tingnan natin to based dito sa ating amendments kasi matutulungan nito lahat. Lahat ng amendments nyo papasok yun doon kung ganun yung magiging application.
Sir,
yeah.
Yeah, Sir Sander, we are following through the EASA or the European Safety Agency model. We have been we have been training on several workshops hosted by EASA, and we know that there is an open category if you would like to check on that in EASA, that their exams as well as their registrations on their drones are free and it is online. Yes, as much as we would like to consider that, we are looking into that. However, our if you could see, sir, if you could observe that this regulation that we have, sir, has started as early as 2015, and we just need to update that regulation in order to conform with the present condition that we have right now. So if we could observe that there are other regulations that we do not address, or there are some issues or concerns that we are not able to address in these regulations, we are starting to amend this to improve this so that we could keep up with the international standards and the concerns of the present situation. However, please, we, as much as we want to address all the concerns, we will highly appreciate if you would send your suggestions so that it would be included in our next amendments. And we would be glad if you would be able to help us with that, because you are the aviation stakeholders and you are the ARPA stakeholders here. You know better what is happening in the ground. So we would appreciate if you would be able to do that. Thank you so much.
Yes, please. Thank you.
To move on with our next question, may we ask Skypixel Aerial Photography, sir? Please introduce yourself and the company you represent, sir, before you ask your question. Thank you so much.
Kailangan niyo yung audio. Great audio. Hi to all, good morning. I'm Nata Blasa from Skypixel 18 Aerial Photography, and I'm also a supervisor from one of the biggest broadcasting company here in the Philippines. I think may I the concern, how about, sir ma'am, those client na kumukuha ng mga non-certified company or drone pilot, any penalties?
Sir, to address that, sir, we have RA 9497 under our general penalties. That is the CAAP law, sir. I repeat, that is Republic Act 9497. That is the CAAP law. It imposes the general penalties for any violations of aviation laws and regulations or any issuances of the CAAP of the authority, sir. Also, we would like to inform everybody that we will be we are just finalizing the final layout of our page on ARPAS. So in that website, in that page, we have our safety reporting for our aviation stakeholders in order for us to know the trends in our drones, what is happening, and in order to mitigate that. Also, we will include that the online complaint. So if there are any violations of our regulations of RA 9497 or our memorandum circulars or the PCAR, you may report that. That would be accessible in the CAAP website as well. And also, to add to that, we will be coordinating with the Department of Interior and Local Government, or the DILG, in the implementation of our PCAR, especially on drones, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and that's all.
Thank you. For our next, may we have FarmTech Agriland Corporation. Ma'am, please introduce yourself and the company that you represent. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm Jennifer Joy Subang. Well, I mistakenly used a different email account. I'm representing Agridom Solutions Corp. And also currently the president of Philippine Agricultural Drone Association, Inc. So I have observed that majority of the stakeholders and colleagues here who are present in this public hearing are more into the under the classification of using of the drones under consumer and enterprise, while ours is under the agriculture sector. So as one of the stakeholders also and the operator, CAAP operator, these are some of the questions that I like to highlight. For one is that I noticed that there was no indication in regards to the weight really of the classifications. I have seen that you made already categories of the drones, okay? And then, however, will you consider also the weight? Because like, for example, well, most often in our case, for agricultural drones, we are really, our drones are the one that are bigger and heavier in terms of size and weight. So in terms of those that we're going to license for the RPAS operator, I'm going to consider that. And also, in fact, I was been listening to some of the questions by the other stakeholders. Some of the questions, actually the concerns are somehow not also applicable to the agriculture sector, especially that in regards that, yes, because we are the drones are big and basically it's used for agriculture in the farm, in the plantation. And so that's one, that's what first questions that I'd like to ask. And then second, I have some concern in regards to when you mentioned about authorized RPAS instructor. For one is that I'd like to know who will be the one who's going to provide that certificate for the RPAS instructor. Because like, for example, in our case, we also have our own academy or training center. Specifically, we're more into teaching the application for agricultural drone. Then with that, we got a franchisee, okay, from the manufacturer's academy to be able to conduct that training. And aside from that, I hope also the government, government to government communication should also be imposed. Like, for example, we're also doing the TESDA courses, training in regards to agricultural drone operation. So in that case, because you mentioned that, okay, if you're an instructor, then you have to undergo this teaching methodologies, which we actually already did, okay? So maybe, I saw in one of the comments earlier that it was, maybe we can treat it like getting a driver's license, wherein it's not actually the person that is giving you a certificate, okay? So for you to undergo training, it should not be a person. Meaning, what I'm trying to say is that the certificate should come from a credible, reliable, and eligible company that is authorized to conduct training. And of course, the one who's really conducting the training, the lessons, are ARPA's operator's license, okay, instructors. So that's what I was trying to tell here. Because if we're going to allow anybody, any person, it's just, okay, I have a license, then I can just teach and then issue the certificate. I think it will be, well, in as much as we'd like to, advocate responsible ownership and operation of drones. So I think it would be best for companies who are more eligible to host or conduct the training. And then take note that UAV is fast evolving and it's an emerging industry. Some who are here has been in the UAV for as early as 2012. The agriculture sector, the agricultural drones came in sometime around 2016, 2017. And since the time that we started, we already have 8 models. So my next question is that, how are we going to be assured that the one who's going to do the assessment is also qualified and qualified to really conduct the assessment? And please also consider that when you prepare your exams or the questionnaires and also for the practical skills exam, it should also be applicable and updated. Every year there's at least 1 to 2 models that that comes out in the market, and after 2 to 3 years it's already obsolete. So please consider that. And yeah, so basically those are the two questions that I have.
Thank you for your question, ma'am. So let's go through it point by point. So your first question was regarding the weight for the drones, correct? So since we provided for the category ratings, you're asking if we will be also distinguishing the different weight classifications. So for that, ma'am, we will be discussing that later during the, because right now what we've already discussed is part two, so it's limited to personal licensing. So later, when we discuss the ROC for the operators and the registration, you will see the distinction, the different classifications for every different weight class. So as to your question regarding the RPAS authorized instructor, this is actually for the benefit of those who intend to apply for an ROC, for an RPAS RPA controller certificate, since um, right now what is existing is that only manufacturers can conduct the training. So we included this provision so as to give the applicants an option on where to go in the event that they don't find any manufacturer where they can do their training. So if you're
Attorney
asked,
Duan, I would like to recap that I would like to object what you have mentioned, that it's not actually the manufacturers. The manufacturers are not the one conducting the training here, but where it's actually the dealers, they are the one that is authorized to conduct also the training. And there's also actually a lot already here that conducts the training. Companies, okay? There are companies, schools, academies are authorized to conduct training on this one. So what I'm trying to say is that perhaps the one that is going to, that has the authority to issue certificate are the ones that should be assessed, not just the person itself. Okay, so certificate that should be issued should have the letterhead of the academy or the training, so that it will give more responsibility and weight for the one that is issuing, not just the person itself.
yes, ma'am. Let me just direct you on the existing provision right now. So here it says that if you see the first column, it says that the person must have completed an RPAS training course as conducted by the RPA manufacturer in the operation of the type of RPA. So that is what's in the regulation right now. So if you're saying that this is not what's happening, then that person who had undergone training somewhere else and not with the RPA manufacturer is not eligible, ma'am. So right now, ma'am, what we propose is to have this expanded to include authorized RPAS instructor. And before, as discussed earlier, before you can be an authorized RPAS instructor, you would still have to undergo several tests with the authority, and we will be certifying you that you will have in your license, it would be indicated as an endorsement that you are an authorized RPAS instructor. In short, ma'am, you can rest assured that any RPAS instructor would be credible, and only that specific rating, he would be only be um, allowed to teach the specific rating in which he had undergone he has passed the test. So wait, let me flash you the the portion for the RPAS instructor. Here, ma'am, as you can see, the before for the person to be a qualified RPAS instructor, he must also hold an RPA controller certificate, pass the required training, and pass the skill test for instructors. So the subject that he will be taught be correspond to the category rating wherein he also holds the RPA controller certificate.
Yes, I understand that. What I'm trying to say is that, remember, that's why I also mentioned earlier that aside from the from the categories of the drone, maybe you should also consider the classifications of the drones that you're going to teach. If, for example, you cannot. I don't know if maybe only a few, okay, has is well equipped to teach all types of drones, from consumers to agriculture. But to have expertise, of course, like for example, in our case, yes, we know how to use the drones for that is used for the enterprise. However, if you're going to ask us what is our expertise, we can only teach you our expertise based on agricultural drones. Okay, and then now my question is that you said here pass the required knowledge test on the principles of teaching. Who is going to conduct this one? Is it also from CAAP or is that TESDA? Because for this one, we have undergone training methodologies that is conducted by TESDA. And then for number 3, pass the skill test for instructors. If what kind of skill test are you referring to? Because we already have the RP controller certificate, so meaning to say we have already done the online and then the knowledge and the skills assessment, right? So how about the third one? So, and who is qualified to conduct that? And then what will be the reference that, as I mentioned, every year there are new drones. Every year, at least 1 to 2 drones are coming out on the market. Who's going to have that kind of expertise? Definitely those, particularly, I would say those who are dealers, they will have those kind of expertise because they are required. Every month they have trainings, or at least every 2 months they are required by the manufacturers to attend trainings to be able to be updated on the different models that come out in the market. So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, this is good, but how about our government agency? Are you also equipped to be updated, to be agile, and to be able to cope up with this fast changing technology? And in as much as we'd like to, oblige and comply with the requirements with the law, like in our case, we're based in Davao. How often can we conduct the exam? And it's very, very costly for us. I saw here that if we can just make it free, it's okay for us to pay. But we would like to make it very affordable, especially that we are dealing with farmers. So we are in the agricultural sector. So we would like to make it affordable and accessible to our farmers. So please consider that, okay, in when you craft this law, because I mean it's not one size fits all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your question. If I may address that, for the capability of the authority to conduct this examinations or this skill test or to give trainings, ma'am. Yes, the authority is very capable of conducting this kinds of tests because although it is the TESDA, is what you have said, that has been performing this and has been updating, has had updated skills in with regard to agriculture, ma'am. Please be noted that CAAP has jurisdiction under RA 9497 under Section 2 of that. And may I read that it is hereby declared as a policy of the state that CAAP should provide, that the state is to provide safe and efficient air transport, and thus the creation of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines. And with that, it also includes the promotion, development, and regulation of the technical, operational, safety, and aviation security functions under the Civil Aviation Authority. While maybe you are basing it on the current capacity of the authority and conducting that, ma'am, we have been undergoing trainings and we have been coordinating with other government agencies in order for us to build capacity in conducting these types of trainings in order to serve and to serve our stakeholders and in order to promote safety. With regard to the jurisdiction, ma'am, CAAP has jurisdiction and has the technical capability and technical knowledge with regard to aviation, aviation safety, ma'am. This is not undermining the capability of TESDA in performing or in conducting these kinds of trainings, but we could say that CAAP has the capability and has the technical knowledge with regard to aviation, ma'am, because that is under our jurisdiction. We also discussed that with TESDA, and we are coordinating. This is not simply a CAAP-related regulation. This set of regulations requires an interagency coordination, and this is not basing on the current capacity of CAAP because this entails a lot of interagency coordination. So we will be coordinating not only with TESDA. We are also currently in coordination with the Department of Agriculture, FPA also, and with CAB. And with regard to the fees and to the examinations, ma'am, we are currently working on that. Not everything that you could see in these regulations are based on the current capability or current procedures and processes of CAAP. Please be noted that these regulations is still not, this set of regulations are still not in effect. So by the time that this is in effect, we have taken note of your comments. And yes, ma'am, we are well aware that most of our stakeholders for agriculture are farmers, small farmers. These are cooperatives that does not have the capacity or the financial capability to take exams in Manila. And yes, we will address that during the implementation of our regulations. So we will take that into consideration. Also, for the skill test, for the this is not yet final, but we are working on making our regulation, our examinations, and our flight checks accessible to our stakeholders. So we are currently working with that, and rest assured that upon implementation of these sets of regulations, we will be able to address the concerns that we have with regard to the accessibility of our services in CAAP. Thank you. Ma'am, does that address your question, or do you have any other questions?
Basically, that's it. I'll just send the list of questions that I have through email.
Thank you.
Yes, wala daw.
Yes, we will be accepting 2 more questions. And again, we would like to remind the participants to just limit their questions to 1 to 2 per participant. And please refrain from asking questions which have not been, which are not related to the topic. So currently, we're on personal licensing. For the next participant, Mark Anthony Kitoriano.
Hi ma'am, good morning. Magandang umaga sa lahat.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Ma'am, may yung question ko is ano lang naman eh. I'm from Cagayan de Oro nga pala. Cagayan de Oro base. And then marami naman ako na ano ma'am, yung mga questions is baguhin ko na lang kasi halos natanong na din lahat eh. Anyway, ma'am, may tatanong lang ako tungkol sa ano, yung sa mga maganda naman yung plano ng CAAP, no? Plano na sa mga bagong pinalabas ni APIC, pinopropose niyo ngayon ng mga bagong ano, batas. Yung ang tatanong ko lang ma'am is may mga agency na ba tayo ma'am na yung bang halimbawa yung sa mga Yung bang talagang para ma-implement talaga yung mga pinapatupad yung ano, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, sir. So right now we will, as mentioned earlier by Attorney Irish, we will be having an interagency coordination, particularly with the DILG, for the implementation of their local ordinances and the enforcement of our regulations as well.
Okay, kasi ang dami nating ano na ba, halimbawa yung mga
Also, sir, to add to that, during our initial coordination with the DILG, sir, we were informed that they will also extend the implementation of this to the Philippine National Police, sir, which is under their jurisdiction. So, since the Office of the Transport Security is just within the perimeter of CAAP, and also our CSIS is just within the perimeter of our airports or our aerodromes, we will seek the help of the agencies that we have in the government, especially the Department of Interior and Local Government, in enforcing this regulation, sir. And also, we will make available in our CAAP website and also in our Facebook page and other social media platforms the online reporting for any.
Oh no.
Also, sir, Miss Captain Rhoda Batan will also have her inputs on this one.
Okay.
Hi, good morning. I had a meeting with the PNP, I think 2 to 3 months ago. They're planning to invite CAAP for an event so that they will be informed on the regulations that we have regarding drones. So after that, they are planning also to register their drones and also their people to have an idea about the regulations that we have so that they can fully enforce the current regulations that we have, because we have to be honest that we really need the help of our PNP right now in the enforcement. Thank you.
Oo nga. Okay.
Do you have any questions, sir?
Yun lang, ma'am, kasi yun lang yung matagal ko nang gustong itanong din kasi yun nga sa ngayon hindi lang kami malinaw naman na tumutupad kami sa sa batas, tapos yung mga iba diyan maraming halimbawa yung pinaka basic natin is yung mga night flying, di ba? Yung mga nagpapalipad sa gabi, tapos yung mga post nila naka-boost pa, di ba? Tapos parang kami pa yung tumutupad sa mga nag-iingat pa, kumbaga nag-iingat. Tapos parang sa tingin ko parang wala parang walang nagsisita, sino bang magsita? O di ba? Hanggang ngayon yung mga post nila andun pa din. Di ba? So yun lang talaga ngayon meron na namang bagong amendments, yung halimbawa yung CAAP, yung spotter natin kailangan may CAAP din. Wala namang problema kung gustuhin din namin, pero ang problema niyan, sino na naman yung sino yung sisita, sino yung, di ba? O ano bang may mga penalties ba o mga, di ba? At least ba para
Thank you, Sir Mark. Yes, sir. So as not to demoralize our stakeholders with these kinds of activities, sir, we will make accessible to the public our reporting for our violations on drones. Currently, sir, we have 2 cases filed in our Office of Flight Safety Investigation, sir, regarding regarding violations of drones, sir, and this has already been issued resolutions, and the violators have already been penalized. we understand na yung iba po hindi alam yung platform na to, or there is such office in CAAP that imposes penalties on drone violators kasi hindi masyadong accessible to the public. Now we are making it accessible to the public so that you, our aviation stakeholders, will be able to file your complaints in CAAP so that we will be able to investigate these violations. And in order for us to mitigate risks and in order for us to stop these kinds of incidents to happen. Also, sir, we are in constant coordination with, as what Captain Roda said earlier, with our local government agencies. We are also in coordination with our Air Force and BJMP. So, while this has not been, hindi pa masyadong visible ngayon, in the coming days, we will endeavor to really coordinate with local government agencies para po magkaroon po tayo ng manned sa grounds po natin. So, since yung RPAS po kasi, or yung drones, are new actors in the aviation industry, and not only Philippines has been having challenges in the implementation of our regulations or in promoting safety. So we really also need the help of our local government agencies, and our this will be an interagency coordination in order for us to better enforce our regulations. Thank you. Sir, I will move on to the next question,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Sir Erwin, yes po.
Yeah, may I continue first? We want you to know that we have the same objective. Okay, you want to regulate, and on our side, most of us are RPAS certificate holders and operators. Now we are going to add new amendments, so which means mas mahigpit na, and at the same time, if mahirap para makuha ng mga tao yung RPAS certificate, lalong lalayo. So what we want, if we want to align na stricter rules and mas maraming tao ang kukuha ng RPAS certificate and to be more responsible, we have to make it more accessible and easier, in a sense that kasi pag mas mahirap at hindi naiintindihan ng tao, the more they will not take the exams. Now, the solution for this is if we can lower the cost to getting RPAS certificate, the better. But we need to be clear on getting RPAS for commercial purpose and for the recreational regarding the registration. That's different. But on the other solution is we need to have a general RPAS information manual which should be posted and for everybody to review, kasi that's one of the deterrent. If mag-e-exam pa and then iisipin nila baka hindi ko alam yan. But if everything will be in one page or in one site for them to review na lahat ng lalabas sa exam nandun, I think that would encourage more people to take the RPAS certificates and be more responsible. Yun lang yun. So I just want to remind, if we can I could suggest na i-align natin yun. So mas dadami, kahit humigpit tayo, pero mas dumami ang RPAS holders, mas maganda.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question, sir. Actually, sir, as mentioned earlier, we will be posting the entire requirements, everything about drone in our website. It will be published soon for public consumption, sir. And with respect to the fees, sir, there will be no changes in fees, even with the additional requirements, sir. Since this is something that would, any change in the fees would have to undergo another set of hearing and consultation. But right now, we're sticking with the current fees, and even with the additional requirements, the additional test, there will be no additional charge for that, sir. So, or if we're talking about aligning it, actually we're doing steps na. Particularly, we've introduced the RPAS authorized instructor to give the applicants an option nga where to take their training. So there, sir. I, as far as we can, we will make the website accessible soon, sir. So you will see all the steps, the rates, requirements, what you'll need, when you'll need to apply for this specific certificate. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is answer.
One major thing that is added to this
Yes, sir.
amendment is the registration of all RPAs. Now we have to draw the line between the commercial
Sir,
operation.
I'm sorry, but I need to cut you. As I've mentioned earlier, we would like to focus all the questions only with reference to the particular topic that was discussed. So
Okay.
later, sir, we will be discussing about registration.
Okay. Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you.
will be discussing about that, everything, including the fees for that, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so we will just be accepting the last question from Albert Cortez.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to our the chairman and the member of this committee, the CAAP committee. My first question, I'm Albert Cortez of Layak Drone Video Production. So my first question kasi ma'am is, since we are regulating the operators, the RPAS licensed pilot, why not, if I may suggest, perhaps we regulate those buyers from the stores. The store may ask first if they are licensed or RPAS license holder. So kasi kung bibili sila ng bibili without license or RPAS license, so mas dadami yung mga unresponsible pilot na hindi naman licensed. So maybe we can regulate na yung mga parang bibili pa lang doon, nakokontrol na natin yung gustong magpalipad ng drone, kasi the drone we consider it's an aircraft. So yung regulation ng standard aircraft like the rotorcraft, the fixed wing in the rotary wing, ganun ang application natin sa RPAS eh. So why not regulate from there? Hindi sila pwedeng bumili ng drone pag pag unlicensed sila. So from there nafi-filter pa lang na natin yung mga users, no? So that's for me. That's my suggestion.
Yes, sir. As to your question, sir, we cannot just prohibit any person from buying drones, since it is their right, it is their constitutional right to express
Constitutional
whatever
rights,
they
we
want.
understand. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we cannot just prohibit them. As to the and assuming that we do, even though it would be violative of their rights, and it is outside our jurisdiction, since again we are CAAP, and the sellers would have the sellers or distributors would be under the jurisdiction of DTI, sir. So assuming that we can, and it's within our rights, it's within our rights as a regulator, sir, it would not be feasible, as there is also a requirement that the applicant for a controller certificate must have used a drone, or must have operated a drone within 5 hours outside the controlled airspace. So how can they at least practice, or how can they begin their training without having a drone to begin with, diba? So it would be not only not feasible, but it would be impractical to do so, sir. So right now, what we would be, kaya nga right now, we are just regulating the ones who can be entitled to the certificate, sir. And again, not all naman are required to secure a controller certificate. Particularly if you're just a hobbyist, you're not required naman to have one.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. That would be all. Yeah. Thank you.
For now, I apologize, but we have to continue with the presentation since we're also pressed for time. So, for your other concerns, again, you may email us or submit your formal opposition or comments. We will be posting our email address in the chat box. Okay. So if I may direct the attention of the participants now to the presentation, can you see my slides? Okay.
Yes.
So now we will go to the PCAR Part 4, Aircraft Registration and Marking. So this one has been deleted. Some parts are transferred because we made a separate subpart for all provisions on registration and markings related to RPAS. So here, the new provision, subpart 4.4, registration for remotely piloted aircraft. So the first paragraph A, talks about the applicability, and then for two, general RPA registration. All RPAs except those that weigh less than 250 grams and have no camera or other sensor able to detect personal data shall be registered. And for B, a person who intends to register an RPA in the Republic of the Philippines must apply for RPA registration with the authority. So please note that this subpart must be read in conjunction with the provision on Part 11, wherein a registered RPA is required for an RPAS operator certificate. Therefore, it's part of the requirements that the RPA to be used by the operator certificate in the conduct of its operations also be registered. This is regardless.
Oh God.
Is used for commercial operations, there is a need for registration. So these are the requirements. Certification stating the citizenship, to abide by the nationality requirement as provided in subpart 4212, and then evidence identifying ownership of the RPAS or notarized lease agreement, and all documents shall be originally signed by the applicant. After submitting all the documentary requirements for registration, the applicant shall present the RPA to the authority for inspection to determine its registrability. I know that we have received a lot of contention regarding this part. So just to clarify, sorry, sorry, let me fix it. can you see the slides na po? Okay. So let's proceed. Again, we've heard several contentions regarding this part. So for clarification, we will be issuing a separate advisory circular. But just for your information, for the information of everyone, so this would be the procedural requirements for registration. So if your RPA is used for non-commercial operations and weighs less than 7 kilograms with camera, you will have to register online, and there's no fee attached to this. So you just have to accomplish the online registration. For all commercial drones, regardless of weight, usual, you must comply with the usual registration with fees. And then for non-commercial RPAs weighing less than 250 without camera, there's no need to register. We have also made a prototype of the online registration. So these are the information that you will have to, that will be needed. So the email address, last name, first name, age, address, contact number, the drone make and model, drone serial number, and the drone license number if applicable. Also, you need to attach two valid IDs, pictures of drone, and picture of the serial number.
I am better, pero may konting ubo pa rin.
And then now we go to subpart 4.3, access for inspection. To determine continued compliance with the applicable regulations, the operator shall grant the authority uninterrupted access to RPAS for random inspection. This is a new provision.
I actually sent a message to
And for the RPA markings, so again, we will the advisory circular that we will be issuing. We will also mention the requirements for RPA markings with respect to those that would only need to register online. So if you fall under the commercial, if you're a commercial operator, you would still have to the marking should comply with this provision. So the registration marking RPU followed by the assigned number, the required registration marks on the visible part of the RPA, and the registration mark must be proportionate to the size. Also, the registration marks must be waterproofed and made of weather-resistant inks, paints, or permanent stickers. And again, and just to emphasize, the RPA registration marking is non-transferable. Lastly, for this part, we have included a provision on the registration of RPAs. So the RPA shall be registered if lost or damaged beyond repair. The registration marking is removed, or when the information in the marking becomes illegible, it is sold, transferred to a foreign national. Of course, again, there is a nationality requirement, and then it will be registered to another country. For B, upon the registration, the registrant shall remove and destroy the marking from the RPA. So that will be all for this part. We will now open the floor for any questions or clarifications for the participants. Again, we remind everyone to please at the RTWG, Captain Wadabatan will
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I would just like to add a little something, because prior to this event, we received questions regarding the aero models. Sa mga RCs or aircraft models, no need for the registration, because based on the Chicago Convention, outside sila ng drone regulations. So again, no need to register the RCs or the aero models. Again, to reiterate, kasi I know there's been a lot of promotion regarding the online registration, the registration. Again, if you're gonna fly your drone for hobby lang, no need to register, no need to do no need to go through the several requirements. All you have to do is just log in via online registration, just the ones that was mentioned by Attorney. So no payment for that for hobbies or recreational drones.
So again, we would like to open the floor for questions. Okay, so for the again, please limit your questions to 1 to 2 per participant, and please let's remain stay on the topic. So we'd call first Chris De Jesus. Yes, Mr. De Jesus, we can hear
Can you
you.
hear me now? Yeah, my question is about this topic of registration, right? Only for this topic. Hello? Okay, I'll ask about the registration. For registering our, I mainly fly drones for mapping
Go, go,
and
go.
videos for movies and films. I heard that if it's a commercial drone, you don't need to. Oh,
We can't hear anything.
okay. Sorry.
Hello? Oh, can you hear now? Hello?
Tanggalin mo yung headset mo, attorney.
Can you skip? Eto, sige. Tinanggal ko na yung headset ko.
Yan, okay
Can
na,
you skip
malinaw
me
na.
if you-
Ayan, may audio ka na, attorney.
Malinaw na? Oo. I mainly fly a Mavic, DJI Mavic, and an Inspire 2 drone. I heard if it's a commercial
Can't hear
drone.
anything. Still nothing.
Can you skip me? Skip me
Attorney,
then.
Attorney
Skip.
Chris, walang audio ka, wala kang audio, attorney.
Okay, skip me. Skip. Next.
Actually, ako rinig ko.
Next.
Actually, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Next. Skip me.
Sir Chris, actually,
Sa
we
amin
can hear
meron.
you, sir.
Maririnig ko si attorney.
We hear attorney
Skip
Chris
me.
De Jesus.
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, marinig si attorney.
Siya.
Skip me.
Naririnig ko si attorney
Skip.
din.
We go to the next question. Mr. Jeffrey Louis. Sir?
Hi. Naririnig?
Yes, sir, we can
All
hear
right.
you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jeffrey. I'm more of representing the recreational and innovation and STEM space, siguro. First of all, thank you for clarifying yung table about which ones need to be registered for recreational use and non-recreational use, because that clears up a lot of things, unang-una, and resolves a lot of issues. Now, I just want to point out dun sa Rule 4.4.2 where it says 250 grams and below with camera. So, we're referencing rin kasi yung sa FAA ruling, which also has the 250 gram rule. And I believe sa ibang countries as well, like Europe, also has the 250 gram rule. Pero ang difference sa atin is meron tayong camera, and we just want to understand a little bit more on why no, and as well as para sa aming mga hobbyists, we also build, not just buy drones off the shelf. So siguro familiar ang more people sa mga off the shelf drones like DJI or what you buy in the toy store. Pero sa amin, we also build these drones. For example, this is a very small, probably 25 gram, not even 250 gram. This is a 25 gram drone with a camera. So this means that even for recreational use, I would still need to register this really tiny drone that I built myself. So ano yung naging basis natin for requiring the use of a camera?
Hi, sir. For the camera, 250 grams less. Actually, we have received several complaints under the previously Flight Safety Investigation Committee regarding their privacy. So we have this Data Privacy Act. So we also consider that one. Mostly our regulations are based on the experiences or the complaints that we receive from the public. So we are actually, our role here in the authority is to protect the majority of the people or the public po. Yeah, that's the reason why we included. By the way, sir, it's only for online registration lang naman. It will just take few minutes of your time, probably just 5 minutes, all just for us to get the who the owner is, and just in case for the accountability in the future.
Okay. Sige, so my second question probably would be for us builders. I mean, I'm mostly in the drones, but I am also aware that plane flyers are also building their own planes from scratch, from scratch materials. Yung paglagay ng RPU on the aircraft, I'm not sure kung na-address na dito sa part na to or sa part 11 pa yata yun. But yung pag-indicate ng, I mean, like this one, if I break the airframe, papalitan ko lang siya. So, do I need to cancel the RPA registration for this tiny little thing? Or even a slightly bigger drone like this one?
Yes, sir.
Which is definitely above
Since for
250 grams.
Sir, for recreational lang po kayo, right?
Yes.
So if for recreational, there's no need for the registration markings, only for the commercial operations.
Okay, okay.
Thank
That's
you.
that's very good news. Sige, yun lang muna. I'll reserve my other questions for later kung may time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paano? No questions? I see.
Maybe go back to Mr. Chris De Jesus, sir. Maybe test your audio if tignan po. Sir, actually cannot hear you. Maybe proceed with Mr. Rogel to Rohel Tura, sir.
Yes, hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. My name is Rogel Tura. I'm an independent RPAS holder ako from Visayas. Ma'am, ang ko lang is regarding sa sa 250 na registration if you're a hobbyist po. Ang nangyayari kasi what's happening sa ground kasi maraming gumagamit na less than 250. For example, the Mavic Minis, these are the 249 grams. So, hindi siya papasok sa registration. So, ang nangyayari, ito yung ginagamit ngayon ng mga nagsushoot ng commercial. So, paano natin i-address? Especially, marami kasi gumagamit. Tapos, aside from that, nagna-night shots pa sila. Although, may mga na tayo dito, may mga gagawin na for reportings. Pero paano natin po yun i-address? Kasi si Mavic Mini, kahit hindi siya 250 grams, pasok po siya na ginagamit ngayon for commercial works. At ang second question ko is paano i-address ni CAAP? Kasi may mga government agencies or LGUs na dahil sa very tight yung budget nila, imbes kami mga RPAS holder, kami yung dapat sana papasok sa trabaho. Kumukuha sila ng mga unregistered licensed drone pilot. So, yun yung nangyayari. So, paano natin po
Sir,
i-address siya?
to answer that question, actually, Mr. Liu was very accurate in answering your question. Even with the previous regulations that we have, all commercial operations, regardless of weight, should be registered before this authority. Yes. And again, sir, supposedly, yung mga nag-conduct ng commercial operations like those that you mentioned, filmography or like wedding photography, they should register their drones to CAAP. Unfortunately, right now, to be very honest with you, kaya kami naghihigpit all the more because napapansin namin, based on the 700 plus that are registered before CAAP, only 20 lang yung registered na drones under sa category ng mga filmography or videography or photography. That's why we encourage everyone to please register your drones, especially if you are conducting commercial operations, just like that I mentioned or Sir Rogel mentioned. So I know the requirements are not that easy, but let us please work hand in hand kasi one violation lang or one incident lang mangyari, damay lahat ng registered na kawawa. I really appreciate na ang dami din nagpapa-register and there are also commercial operators na license na ngayon. I really appreciate their effort in registering their company before the authority. So please, we encourage everyone, if you have friends, if you know someone, please tell them to register before CAAP. Thank you. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Yes, Sir Erwin.
Hello, Attorney Irish. Regarding the general RPA registration under letter A, can we reword this to include that this only applies to commercial operations, because this has created a scare because it's worded as all RPA, so that created the panic and everybody got crazy and suddenly everyone hated CAAP, including me.
Yes, apologies for that.
Because I'm pushing for
Yes,
registration for everybody.
Yes, so actually, sir, yeah, it is quite big to be honest. But then we are currently creating an advisory circular, so it will also be published regarding that to clarify the matter. And so again, I'm so sorry for the misconception regarding that
Yeah.
issue. Noted,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
For our last question, we apologize. We need to shorten our questions because we have other presentations. May we ask Elise? Thank you.
Hello guys. Good morning. My name is Christian Jacobson. We represent the Cinema Drone guys. We're wondering on how the serial number. Wala ba akong audio? Can you guys hear me? Okay naman.
We can hear you clearly.
One of the guys can't hear me. Ayun, wondering lang on how the serial number will work with the DIY drones. Kasi like my focus, we focus on like my company, we focus on making our own like the drones and the platforms for the film industry. So we have small drones like this that really don't have a serial number, and like we make them ourselves. Tapos we make big drones rin like this that wala siyang serial number, but the registration says we do need one. And wala din siyang manual kasi we make it ourselves.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
sir.
how does that
Regarding
work?
that, to address your question, since wow, so you built it yourself. That's fantastic. Salute to you, sir. So since you made it on your own, you can. The good thing about this is you can create your own serial number, any number that you like.
Nice. Thank you guys. That's my question.
Okay, so we can now proceed. So for part 11, aerial work and operating limitations for non-type certificated aircraft. So this part pertains to the RPAS operator certificate. So this subpart has been rephrased to be more concise and clearer. Also, this limited the granting of special flight permit to commercial operators and government agencies. Also, this subpart exempted indoor operations, as mentioned earlier in the definition of terms. So for indoor RPA operations, you're exempt. So from this provision. And another thing that was changed here from the previous from the existing PCAR is the word approval was just reworded to special flight permit, since we have also introduced a separate provision for that. Sorry, may audio po ba ako kanina?
Yes, yes.
Yes po, meron.
Okay. So the next, thank you. So the next part is 11.11.3, RPA restricted areas of operations. So again, this is identical to the existing. We just had to reword the approval to special flight permit. And for the RPAS operator certificate, this is a new provision. This provided for the exemption of government agencies from complying with the usual ROC application. With letter B, apologies, but it's a typographical error. The RPA application should have been ROC application, or the RPAS operator certificate application. So we will revise it accordingly. So the entire pre-application requirements has been deleted. So it's just it was combined. Some of portions of the pre-applications requirements were combined with the application requirements. However, please do note that this subpart is still under consideration. There's a possibility that the enumeration of the required documents in this provision would be deleted from the PCAR, and it will just be referred to through in an advisory circular. So nevertheless, for everyone's information, you can refer to this for the documentary requirements. So we included the provision giving the authority the right to reject or defer the processing, and to require the applicant to provide the lacking information or submit supplemental document. For 11.11.6.4, or eligibility for issuance of an RPAS operator certificate, here the paragraph B was deleted. For number 1, the operator must be Philippine registered, whether it is a partnership or corporation or a solo proprietorship. And number two, as you can see in the previous, in the existing regulations, person has enough qualified. We clarified it to mean at least 2 personnel. There's no change in number 3, and for number 4 was omitted. And here we identified for number 4 we also identified the functions of the chief RPA controller. So here are the functions as shown in the slide. In 11.11.66, this support has been revised to clearly reflect the conditions on ROC. Also, we added paragraph C, which provides for the requirement of an RPA visual observer in the conduct of commercial operations. For the validity and renewal of RPAS operator certificate, so it's still valid for 5 years. So we just added this provision that an operator may apply for the renewal in writing at least 60 days before the expiry. For the show cause order to RPAS operator certificate, this is identical to the one in part 2 regarding the issuance of a show cause order. So it has basically the same provisions. So as explained earlier, the risk here was defined, and also we identified the period for preventive suspension. For the cancellation of RPAS certificate, again, this was merely rephrase. Same with the cancellation of RPAS certificate. This was merely rephrased. So this is a new provision, the authorization requirements for government agencies operating RPAS. So this excludes the military. So in lieu of an ROC, government agencies operating an RPA are required to secure a certificate of authorization. The government agency must comply with the following. The RPA shall be registered under the name of the agency, and its controller shall hold an RPA controller certificate prior to operation. Also, submit to the authority the operations or procedure manual and demonstrate the capability of their demonstration. So, apologies for the inadvertence, but we failed to include the provision requiring an RPA visual observer during RPA operations conducted by government agencies. So, there should have been a C here, and we will revise it accordingly. Conducting tests and inspections. This is again a new provision. This allows the authority to conduct surveillance, tests, inspections at any time or place to determine whether the operator is complying with the applicable laws, regulations, and ROC terms and conditions. The operator shall make available at its principal base of operations all portions of its current ROC, all portions of its operations manual, a current list of its individual positions responsible for each record, document, and report, the current list of remote pilot stations, if any. So the principal base of operation may be the principal place of business, as indicated in the corporation documents of the operator. The operator shall ensure that the authority is granted uninterrupted access to RPAS, commercial operations, maintenance, and facilities, and failure by any operator to make available to the authority upon request all portions of the ROC, operations manual, and any required record, document, or report is a ground for suspension of all or part of the ROC. So the suspension shall be similar with the show cause for a minimum period of 30 days to a maximum period of 90 days. Again, this is only a preventive suspension. For the special flight permit, again, a new provision. So no person shall operate an RPA within restricted area unless a special flight permit has been granted by the authority. An applicant for a special flight permit must comply with the requirements prescribed by the authority. So for the requirements, we will be issuing an advisory circular or another an issue. We're not yet sure what issuance, but we will be issuing a document reflecting the requirements for the special flight permit. So that would be all for the presentation. So we will again open the floor for your questions and clarifications. May we okay, so let's begin with the question and answer. Mr. Chris De Jesus.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Mr. Chris De Jesus?
Yes, can you hear me now?
I think there's a problem
Yes,
with
sir, we
my
can
phone.
hear you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Chris,
Okay.
we can hear you.
So I have several questions, but I think the rule is I can only ask questions about the topic which was discussed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And if you have other additional questions, sir, you can send us an email, sir, or you can type it in the chat box, sir, so that we can address it.
Yeah, I already sent questions in our chat group, and maybe I can compile them and I'll email them after I get a copy of the draft. I was given a copy of the amendments, but not the entire draft. Anyway, I just have I'm just basing my observation and maybe comment on the rules and what it is in real life, because I'm a drone pilot, they call it in our field. I do films, weddings, and I also do recently mapping for 3D mapping for uh, projects, infrastructure projects. Anyway, when I was in the wedding industry, I have a controller certificate. I don't have a registered drone, but I only use a Mavic 2 Pro. And then uh, it's not registered, doesn't also have an operator certificate. And we fly in a populous area. Is that how you call it? A highly populated area. Anyway, if you're going to be strict with the rules, I should not only have an RPAS controller certificate. I should also have a registered uh, drone. Sorry for the term drone, but we know what it means. Uh, remotely piloted aircraft, and then you also have to have an operator, and then now you have to have like a permit, a special permit to fly within a populous area. I if I'm correct, no wedding videography firm will um, if it's too difficult for them, they will not get that registration for their drone. They will not get that operator certificate, and they will not get that special permit to fly within a populous area. So there's a challenge here. How are you going to implement it? Maybe you won't have any manpower to field CAAP employees to go to all the churches and the wedding venues. And maybe if you have like a way where ordinary people can report to the CAAP uh, pictures of the drone operator and then their drone, uh, I don't think that people would glitch their with wedding video. Snitch on their wedding videograph videographers, and if it's not harming them, they won't really report it. So that's a challenge. That's all. That's not actually a question. That's more of an observation.
Thank you for that comment, Sir Chris. Sir, actually, we are well aware of the difficulty in acquiring a uh, registration and for and license. Um, Please be noted that our regulation was enforced last uh, in 2015. And during that time, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines caters primarily on manned aviation. That is why the system that we have, the procedures that we have are still in relation pa po doon sa manned aviation natin. However, that is why we are conducting this public hearing, and that is why we are amending our regulations for us to cater also to the RPAS community. Because, sir, we are well aware that hindi naman po, yung capacity po ng stakeholders natin for manned aviation is different from unmanned aviation. So, in the implementation, since these regulations are still not implemented, we are yet to implement this, incorporating the necessary comments and suggestions that you have. We are also aware that we should make this the registration as well as the examinations as accessible as we can for our stakeholders. This is to encourage our stakeholders to actively participate and to register, as well as to know who are the stakeholders, and also to monitor po yung ating yung regulations and yung operations po natin. This is to better preserve our safety. So yes, sir, we will take note of that, and we will endeavor to make as accessible as we can our registration and our processes, sir. Thank you. Sir, did that address your comment po? Thank you, sir. I'll move on to Mr. Calki Jimenez. Yes, sir, you may ask your question po.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Attorney Irish, and people from CAAP for inviting us to this open public forum. Please excuse my voice. I have a damaged vocal nerve. That's why I speak this way. I represent Drones PH and Drones PH Academy, Philippine Drone Association, and Philippine RC Congress. No, and we believe in what you guys are doing is correct, and we're all for registration, getting regulation and everything. No, but perhaps our group could send a position paper, mainly just to answer certain things and maybe some clarification on some stuff. I know this is not the right forum to just battle heads out. I mean, we're all for coexisting in the same airspace, and safety is our topmost priority. If we can send a position paper from our group, I think it would be greatly appreciated. And maybe we can help each other really in updating the PCAR and this amendment. No. So, and then my next question is, how long do we have until to submit all of these things? Do you have a deadline? Because we want to know our timelines, no? So we can gather all the information and consolidate before proceeding.
Thank you so much, Sir Kalki. For those who want to send their emails, their clarifications, and their inputs, you have 5 working days from today to submit your inputs.
Okay.
And thank you so much for your comments or your inputs. And yes, we are here to not to prohibit and not to prevent our drone users, our UA users in operating, not also to prevent people who want to earn through the use of this new technology, but we just want to coexist because our stakeholders in unmanned aircraft are not the only stakeholders that we have. We have low-flying aircraft, and while these drones are really very small and they're like toys, and some recreational users use this for recreation, yung sasabayan po yung mga manned aircraft po natin just to take a good photo or take a good shot of this aircraft. Masyado pong malaki yung risk that we have.
Yeah.
And we cannot afford to we cannot afford to have any accident or incident na relation po sa drones kasi mas maghihigpit po ito. And Mr. Jason Dragasa, sir, we have to address your question, sir, in the chat. Yes, we have reported incidents on that, sir. So we are not making this up. We have reported incidents. These are verified, and as much as we can, we want to help our stakeholders in the drone industry to move forward and still to maintain safety. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Kalki.
Thank you so much, Attorney Irish. Thank you so much.
May we have one last question, Sir Omel? Sir, you may ask your question, Mr. Omel Cruz.
Hello po, good morning. Okay, naririnig po ba?
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Ang question ko lang po is about penalties. Tanong ko lang, hindi ko alam kung nalagpasan ko lang o hindi ko nakita. Pero wala akong nakitang binanggit about penalties. So, halimbawa, ang tanong ko po is about halimbawa isang commercial operator or licensed drone pilot na nakagawa ng isang halimbawa nakapaglabag ng rules, ano yung kanyang penalties. And then yung kasunod na question naman ay halimbawa naman sa isang recreational na drone pilot ay nagpalipad siya for commercial operation, ano yung penalty niya? Kasi wala na siyang masasabi natin wala siyang ARPA certificate. So ano yung magiging penalty sa kanya? Aside from maaaring kunin yung drone or kung ano man. Before kasi nung 2016 naka-attend ako ng ganito ring meeting, merong sinasabi about penalties. Pero ngayon wala akong nakikita. Ano po yung ating stand sa ganito?
Sir, to address that, sir, our penalties is found in the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulations Part 1. Also, we have our general penalties under the Republic Act 9497, which is the CAAP law. It is under Section 82 and 81 of RA 9497, sir. If you will refer to the PCAR, sir, it is under the table of sanctions, sir. And in the PCAR, sir, it is under section 81 under penalty, sir. Thank you.
Oh.
I think we can move on. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Omel. I think Attorney Dane, we can move on to the next presentation.
Tapos na last night.
Hello, may I butt in before you move on, please?
Who was that? I'm sorry. I think we are already done, but may I just ask Sky Pixel aerial photography, and then we go with Sir Erwin, and then Mr. Peter John, in that order. Thank you. Sky Pixel, please introduce your name and the company that you represent, and may please also open your camera. Thank you, sir.
Hi, good morning again. I'm Nathaniel Oblasa from Skypixel 18 Aerial Photography, and may I ask po yung we are talking here about the operator certificate. Can you update po all certified CAAP holder operator certificate in CAAP website? Hindi yung CAAP certificate yung website.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Captain Sabra Vega. We have the list of the ROC certificate posted in our website, and we are updating that one. So you can find all of that in our website.
Walang camera. Walang camera. Oo. Tapos na. Basta.
Based.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Captain Bravega from Flight Operations. With regards to the latest questions, we have the list of the RPAS certificate posted in our website, and still that one we still updated for the current one.
Depende sa weight. Pero for
Did I answer your question, sir?
Sir, based on upon
mabigat,
checking,
pero meron.
2019 pa po kasi na-update yung yung mga list of certified operator certificate sa website ng CAAP.
Ito, penalties yan.
Sir, apologies. Can you repeat that?
Footage yun. After nilang ma-implement.
Diba?
Parang sabihin ko, footage yun. Diba?
Sir, please, we were not, as Mr. Skypixel, sir, we were not able to
Kumbaga,
get your
hindi man
question.
kaagad yan. Marami pang proseso yan. Hindi man kaagad-agad
Based on CAAP
bayad ka
website
20K.
po kasi, based on upon checking, 2019 pa po updated yung list. May mga client po kasi na nagtatanong and they ask if yung legit po yung mga pinagtatanungan nilang mga company. So may I ask po kung sana ma-update time to time yung sa list of operator certificate posted in website in CAAP.
Sir, to answer your question, sir, yes, we will endeavor to update that within this week. Pipilitin ko po sila, sir.
Kasi may mga reports na
Para po,
nagpalipad malapit sa mga
you have reference po. Thank
may
you.
actual reports na gano'n mga incidents.
Okay, thank you ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's proceed to the next one, Sir Peter, I guess.
And if it's override, diba, how would they find out?
Sir, wala po yata kayong audio, Sir Peter. Sir, sorry, we can't hear you. Sir Peter, can we just go back to you? We will just entertain Sir Erwin de Matera. Yes, Sir Erwin.
Yeah, this will be based from the previous question regarding the update when companies ask they want to see if you're current. Well, you can just show them your certificate and you can show them the validity of your license, just in case CAAP hasn't updated theirs. And then my second topic would be, can I jump off to regarding the evidence of ownership? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Many are just do-it-yourself drones, and some other drones probably from time nawala na nila yung resibo, yung receipt. So how can they prove that? And also probably others hide their receipts so their wives wouldn't see the amount, how much they spent on that. So paano yan?
Yes, sir. With respect to that, we will be accepting affidavit executed by the owner, sir.
Affidavit of ownership, usually we accept that one. Yes, or undertaking, affidavit of undertaking that you own that drone. Then please specify na lang din po na the complete details of your drone. Thank you. Notarized. Have it notarized. Can I add? Yes, sir, you have follow-up questions, Sir Erwin?
Yeah, under 442 General RPA. Can the inspection be under online? Pwede ba yan? Yung sa mga
Sorry, I can't
sa mga iba? Can the inspections be done online?
Sorry, sir, but the inspection should be physical.
Okay.
Pwede naman po kayo maki-join sa iba. Like for example, if you are from Mindanao or Visayas, try to ask somebody if they want their drones to be inspected para makamura kayo sa DSA and the travel expense.
I see. Yeah, that's no issue with me. I'm just speaking for the others na nasa malayo and it's going to be very costly for them. And that will deter them from registering as well. So yun lang, that's my only concern. If we can make it easier for people, then we will be successful in our drive.
Sir, I'm sorry, hindi ko po marinig, Sir Erwin.
Okay. Hello. Yeah, as I have mentioned, that is my only concern. So we can encourage more people to to register, because if it deters them na, oh, malayo, they would not do it anymore. If we can make it more convenient for people from mas malayo sa Manila, then we would be successful in our drive regarding the new amendments. Did you hear that? Is that okay?
Yes, sir. So we will be
Thank you, thank you.
studying na lang din po, and possibly we can make a regular schedule na lang din po for that, but it would still be undergoing consultations and study with the inspectors assigned din po. Thank you.
Thank
Can I also
you.
add regarding sa actually we've received I've talked to some operators and they've been telling me that the insurance is very expensive, which is also one of the requirements for the drone registration. I had a meeting years back with a certain company for insurance, and I actually asked them if possible if they can lessen the amount of the insurance policy. So before, if you can notice, before in our previous regulations, the drone insurance should have first is the drone insurance for the drone unit plus the TPL. But since I've been receiving concerns regarding the fees, so kaya namin tinanggal na lang yung drone insurance. Kaya ang tinira na lang namin is for the third party liability. And so we will try to probably, if possible, attorney, try to siguro talk with the insurance companies if that's possible. Kasi parang may mga ibang insurance companies talaga very, very expensive. Yung iba, yung may nakausap ako, almost 3/4 of the amount of the drone, ganun na siya kamahal. So we will try to help you guys by probably having a meeting with these insurance companies. And just so you know, guys, there are several insurance companies na right now. Hindi lang siya sa yung isang main. Hindi ko na sasabihin. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So maybe we can circle back to Sir Peter John Quiano. Sir Peter.
Sir Peter, we cannot hear you po. You have no audio. Sir Peter, if you could type your question, sir, or your comment, sir, we would gladly read it, sir.
Sander Servando. Apologies, Sir Peter, but we can't hear you. We will skip you na lang po muna. Yes, Mr. Sander Servando.
Yes, hello. Good morning. Naririnig po ba ako? May audio? All right.
Yes.
Okay, just to connect lang with the comments ni Attorney Chris kanina and then with Sir Kalki. Actually, I agree with the position paper and all the consolidated information. Well, with Attorney Chris, I think suggestion lang with CAAP, maybe you can send a memorandum to all the hotels and churches na we have these rules strictly na pwede natin i-apply just to avoid those ninja moves na sinasabi namin. So yeah, ayun. Anyway, for the validity of the registration, it's 5 years, di ba? So, kasi ang buhay ng drone, it not really last 5 years from now, lalo na itong mga commercial drone. So, and then of course, if I have multiple units, so I need to register all those multiple units. What if nasira na siya beyond repair?
Wala.
So, wala pang 5 years siya. And then I have multiple units. So, it will add cost to the organization, to the company, to the user
Hindi
for
pa naman siya kasi
registering it.
ginagawa
Kasi,
ko.
looking at the FAA rules and then the other countries, one registration lang siya as long as yung pilot is registered also. Basta kailangan niya lang isang number lang ang nire-register nila for several units kasi ikaw lang din naman yung piloto. It's not the same kasi as yung mga kotse, eroplano na it will last several years for that. Yun lang kasi medyo mabilisan din yung pace ng changes ng ano natin ng drones. Usually actually ano siya, hindi siya 2 drones a year. Minsan quarterly nagbabago yung drones and then we keep on upgrading it. And then if we are using it for commercially, so we need to register all in that and then apply another fees and all. So I think medyo ano lang din. Actually, it will fall down again dun sa cost ng registration fees. So ayun lang yung regarding lang sa ano dun. Thank you.
Hi, sir. Regarding sa registration, just so you know, sir, as regards the drone unit registration, the validity is only for 1 year. That's why for the revalidation or for the renewal, you can renew it basing sa financial capability mo or kung saan yung convenience mo. So, pwede mo siyang i-renew for 1 year, 2 years, up to maximum of 5 years. Yun, sir. So, yun po. Hanggang ganun lang talaga, sir, kaya namin. 1 year lang talaga. Yun kasi nasa Republic Act 9497. So, sa renewal na lang tayo mag-a-adjust. So, you can pay it depende. So, 1 year pa din. Minimum of 1 year po.
So every unit po yun, no, Captain Roda?
Yes, sir. Every unit po.
Okay. One last po before. Yung 10-kilometer radius, applicable pa rin po ba yun?
Yes, sir.
Kasi
Kailangan man yun, sir.
if we're doing, we are all using these DJI products, meron na silang geofence eh. So how and then applicable din, ina-apply na siya, FAA.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, so to be very honest with you, I have several complaints from helicopter pilots. Ang ginagawa ng iba, di ba, slow flying lang naman yung helicopter pilots. Ang ginagawa ng iba, talagang lilipad sila sa tabi ng helicopter. So, sir, I hope, sir, makita mo kung gaano yung impact nito just in case may accident mangyari. So, yun, sir. And then, kasi, sir, pag may accident, madadamay po lahat ng mga nagpa-license. Sayang po yung effort ng lahat. So, I hope, sir, we can follow the regulations.
Alright.
Pero yung nagpapalipad, walang license.
Ayun na nga.
May I?
Kasi sorry, follow up ko lang doon. Pasok kasi minsan doon yung mga hobbyist. So nasa loob sila ng 10 kilometers din nakakapagpalipad and then wala silang registration, wala silang ano. So how? Paano 'yon? Affected rin kami noon. Now we have all these documents. Dinaanan namin lahat. Pero meron tayong palagi tayong may exception doon sa hobbyist. Napasok sila doon sa 10 kilometers. Kasi sasabihin nila, labas naman tayo sa geofence so makakalipad yung drone natin. So, yun, medyo lang din. Parang lugi pa rin yung...
Sir, to answer that is why, sir, we are having interagency coordinations and we are, that 10-kilometer radius is non-compromisable for us because it is very, very detrimental to our manned aviation. It will cost a lot and it will cost so much not only for our stakeholders in the RPAS industry but also in our manned aviation and also for us and for the economy of our country. That is why we are making it as safe as we can. Although we are not preventing this in using this technology, sir, that is why we are encouraging coordination from our stakeholders and for us. And kaya po, pag gustong mag-operate within this 10-kilometer radius, yung mga commercial operators natin, kailangan po natin humingi ng authorization from CAAP para po magkaroon po tayo ng segregated airspace. Para po doon pwede silang lumipad, walang pwedeng lumipad na nasa manned aviation doon, sir. So, on the implementation, that is why we are conducting interagency coordination para po may tao po tayo sa ground para po mag-implement nito. Thank you. I think we can proceed with the next one. Sir Erwin, ay kanina pa po ata nag-raise ng hand. Or Sir Mark?
Can you hear me? Is my audio okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, regarding sa concern, the previous concern, yeah, tayo may mga certificate tayo, pero the law applies even to the hobbyist, even if they're hobbyist and then they fly in a restricted area. So under the law in PCAR, meron silang mga fine. So that's going to be their problem. Although maaapektuhan tayo just in case disaster happens. That's just my addition to the issue.
Yes, thank you for that, sir. And we will also publish these regulations. We will make it available in our website, in the Facebook page, and in the newspaper of general circulation before we implement the amendment. I think we have our last. Binabraso na po nila ako dito. Pasensya na po. Nagugutom na daw po sila. Tsaka napagod daw po sa mga tanong ninyo. Pasensya na. I think we have our last, Sir Mark, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, additional lang. I would like to suggest to all the RPAS certificate holders to be a part of the information drive to tell these non-certificate holders to be responsible. Gawin na natin na kasama na rin sa responsibility natin na i-educate sila kung maaari. We can do information drive on our own kahit pa konti-konti to our acquaintances. Yun lang para makatulong tayo, para hindi tayo madamay lahat if for disaster that may occur.
Thank you, Sir Erwin. And also in line with that, we are planning to have an RPAS symposium or a drone fair next year para po magkikita-kita po yung mga stakeholders as well as the authority. We will make some activities para po para naman makita din po kayo to showcase what the drone industry has, and for us to build trust to our, not only to our stakeholders but also to our general public, that these drones are not really detrimental in our airspace and our privacy, but also it is also very helpful. Last na po, Sir Mark.
Hi. Yes. I'd like to thank you for holding this public hearing. This is in regards to the camera, the sub 250 gram cameras, and the data privacy laws. I'd like to quote the PNP chief. This was June 2020, and they said there's no rule against taking photos, videos in public. And I'm sure everyone's aware that as long as it's not for commercial purposes, taking video and photos in public is actually basically one of our rights. How would flying a drone breach data privacy laws? I don't believe you can get any sensitive information like bank or personal or anything on IDs through the drones we fly. Nor does it even go through. You can't even hack with the drone and go to a network and get people's personal information, more or less, like even their bank accounts. You can't even try to get that. So how is this breaking, how is there a possibility of breaking data privacy laws with our drones?
Sir, to answer that, we are not only protecting the data or the data privacy, it is also protecting the privacy of our people, for civilly, that we also have to protect them, because the mandate of CAAP is for to maintain a safe and secure airspace. This also includes the people. So we are not prohibiting you, our stakeholders, to take photos and any pictures, photos or videos in the public. However, we require the registration in order for us to monitor our stakeholders during their operations, and also para po malaman din namin kung sino po yung magiging liable, who will, because we will be coordinating with the DILG, right? So during that operation, if hindi po kayo naka-register sa amin and then you operate in one area, so halimbawa po may dalawang nakipag-coordinate, so yung dalawa lang po yung ma-authorize doon. So the third person, the third operator or the third user who will operate in that airspace, yun po yung, if ever kung ano man yung mangyayari, at least meron tayong somebody who will be liable. And pag may any other accident or incident, at least may accountable po doon sa mga tao na yun. And we could better monitor yung mga operations po natin. This is not to prohibit, but para lang po magkaroon lang po kami ng oversight over those users.
I'm sorry, I don't think my
In addition lang po, sorry, in addition lang with what Attorney Irish said, since syempre drone naman po yun, lumilipad po even over private properties. So of course, everyone has an expectation of privacy din naman. Kaya din, if we're talking about the not necessarily as mentioned by Attorney De Jesus, not necessarily data privacy, pero yung privacy nga in their personal space din, yung personal privacy. Also, recently I've coordinated with the National Privacy Commissions then, and they're planning then to create or introduce a policy on this then with the drone operations. So yun po. Ano
Okay.
pa po, Sir Mark?
Thank you. We'll just submit everything else in the opposition paper. But thank you very much.
So wala na po tayong time, pero nagtataas pa po na kamay sila, Sir Kalki. Sige po, last na po talaga. Last question na, and please limit it to at least mga 1 minute lang po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, speaking from an operator's point of view, no. Okay, there's a couple of points that I want to tackle. No, first is, okay, when you're applying for a controller certificate first, you're required to come to Metro Manila to take the test with CAAP and to take a flight check with CAAP. Is there a way now we can invite your flight check instructors from CAAP to maybe come to our place rather than like the whole group come to Manila just to take the exam with CAAP? That's one. Second, to register your aircraft, again, what if, for example, me, I own a lot of drones. I own about more than 100 plus drones, and it's very expensive for me to register each and every drone one by one. Since I'm an operator, maybe is there a way for an operator to register as a company, as a fleet? So it would be cheaper. It would be cheaper for insurance. It would be cheaper for registration rather than have it, per drone. Parang magkano? 1.5 per drone times 100. That's like how much, diba? I mean, what if we're doing light shows for drones, no? So those type of things. Third is wait. Okay, I want to talk about penalties also. If, for example, miss a day of registration of your aircraft, we get fined with 25,000 pesos. What if that drone is particularly not airworthy to fly yet kasi inaayos pa siya, or we need to change some parts of it? Is there a headroom for maintenance and fixing it first before coming to fly again?
So regarding that question, So to avoid the penalty, actually, sir, we published it on our website. That certain memorandum. Now you can surrender the certificate of registration to avoid penalty. Again, if you're not gonna use your drone for whatever reason you may have, you can surrender the certificate of registration only if it's valid, ha. So before the expiration, you have to surrender the certificate of registration to avoid penalty. So nasa website po yun, sir, sa the memorandum. So you can check it on our website. And what was your first question? I'm sorry, I lost track with your first question.
Okay, I think the first was, is it possible for CAAP to open registration for certificate holders, ARPA certificate holders, to take it in their respective nationwide, to make it nationwide, rather than come to Metro Manila? Second is, as registration for aircraft, sana nationwide na rin para uniform siya, no? It's easier for everyone. Kasi there's CAAP naman in every place, every province.
Actually, sir, marami na kaming na-register nationwide. And I mentioned this during the webinar session before, the step-by-step procedures. I can send you the link probably later. For example, if you live in Mindanao, I also mentioned this earlier. If you live in Mindanao, maybe para cheaper siya, you can ask several companies to join you for the registration. The inspector will have to fly over to Mindanao or to whatever place you're at.
I see, so they can come over.
Yes, sir. We
Okay,
can
so
go to your place.
we can invite you to come over to make it easier.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And of course,
All right.
there may be fees, but that's why I encourage you to maybe ask several companies para cheaper siya in your part. We've done that actually.
Well,
several
that's not the
times.
case. Yeah, but some companies are very, possessive and gusto na sila lang. So, but
Pwede
yeah,
naman,
thank
sir. Their choice. Pero yung iba naman, willing din naman. Sharing is good.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Captain Rhoda.
Thank you.
Soon, I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, so with that po, we will be ending our public hearing. Again, we remind everyone to submit your position papers, comments, questions, suggestions within 5 working days from today. The email address is flashed in the screen. So, yun lang po, and please await other announcement. As of now, again, we emphasize that this is just a proposal. Proposed amendments pa lang po to. We still follow the existing regulations. And we will be publishing the step-by-step requirements and processes for getting your ROC or controller certificate in our website soon. So, thank you po to everyone who attended this event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you po.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, God. Thank you.
Thank you, CAAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Kap.
Thank you, Kaap.